Well, there are major developments tonight revealing new details about the politically motivated shootings in Minnesota over the weekend. Within the last 5 hours, federal officials charged the suspect, Vance Belter, with 2 counts of stalking, 2 counts of murder through use of a firearm, and 2 counts of firearms offenses. This is on top of the state charges he's already facing for Saturday's shooting deaths of Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark, and the shootings of Senator John Hoffman and his wife Yvette, who are expected to survive. Authorities say Belter visited the homes of 2 other lawmakers that night, and we learned the extreme lengths authorities say he went to carry out his deadly plans. Lou Raguse has more in tonight's top story. Lou?
Well, Julie, in announcing the new federal charges against Vance Belter, authorities gave several new details about how they say he carried out the political assassinations, then was able to evade police for the next 43 hours.
It is no exaggeration to say that his crimes are the stuff of nightmares.
2:06 a.m. Surveillance video captures this haunting image that U.S. Attorney Joe Thompson says is Vance Belter, announcing himself as a police officer and shining a flashlight into the eyes of Senator John Hoffman and his wife Yvette.
When Senator Hoffman attempted to push Belter out and stop him from entering his home, Belter shot him repeatedly.
In his detailed press conference announcing federal murder charges against Belter, Thompson reveals 2 additional stops made by Belter before arriving at the home of Representative Melissa Hortman. 2:24 a.m. in Maple Grove, in what KARE 11 News has confirmed is the home of Representative Kristen Bonner. She wasn't there. Then 2:36 a.m. at the home of Senator Ann Rest. A New Hope police officer sent there to check on Rest interacted with Belter. The senator believes that saved her life. Then 3:30 a.m. at the Hortman home, Thompson says police got there just as Belter was rushing through the front door.
He repeatedly fired into the house, and when he entered, he murdered Representative Hortman and her husband, Mark.
The feds released these photos showing 5 weapons, including AK-47s, inside Belter's SUV, which was disguised as a police car. This is the alleged murder weapon and that creepy mask discarded outside the Hortman home. Thompson says notebooks found in the vehicle and Belter's house include the names of at least 45 Minnesota Democratic politicians, including the victims, and online research to find their addresses. According to the criminal complaint, Belter bought that black Buick, the alleged getaway vehicle, after the shootings from a man he randomly approached at a bus stop who then drove him to a bank to withdraw money. Inside that Buick, when police found it not far from Belter's home, a confession note writing that he is the shooter at large in Minnesota involved in the 2 shootings the morning of Saturday, June 15th.
Again, it's no exaggeration to say this is the stuff of nightmares.
Now back to that interaction in New Hope. The responding officer there likely prevented Belter from approaching Senator Ann Rest's home, but Thompson today says that the officer mistakenly thought that Belter was a real officer and did not stop him or detain him there. Just a few additional details from the criminal complaint. After the shooting, Belter texted his wife and kids, quote, "Dad went to war last night," warning them to leave the area. Then in the traffic stop that occurred in Onamia, police found $10,000 cash, 2 guns, and passports in the car, but Belter's wife has not been arrested. Julie.
There's so much to unpack there, Lou, but let's start with the wife and receiving that text, finding those things in the car. I think people wonder, why didn't they detain her? Why didn't they take her into custody?
So they said that she was cooperative. That's what they said. Other possibilities could be that she didn't commit a crime. I don't know if receiving that information and failing to pass it on, if that actually is not a crime. And another possibility or speculation would be that what if he contacts her again? Letting her go would allow that communication to continue and allow Belter to be captured.
And it's how bizarre that he went up to someone randomly at a bus stop. And is there any suspicion around that man, or do they think this really was just a random man?
They really do think it was random. Remember when the Be on the Lookout went out in South Dakota?
Right.
That was the man. That was the man's name that they put out because they didn't know at that time if they were traveling together or if they were working together on this. But after talking to him, they truly believe that he was approached and just agreed to sell an e-bike and the Buick. Now, the e-bike apparently was used by Belter after he left his vehicle on the roadside. He was spotted by a neighbor out there on Highway 25 in Sibley County riding this e-bike, and that was reported to police.
How about being that neighbor and you look out and think, is he really out there on an e-bike?
Yeah.
I mean, the whole story.
It doesn't make sense, but again, yes, so much is just nonsensical.
Absolutely. All right, thanks so much, Lou.
Yeah.